Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Sells with the PIP Group. We're going to be talking today about passive turnkey options investing in distressed real estate with a 16% promise. I'll hold that promise and the explanation of how that works towards the end of the presentation, but we'll go ahead and just jump right into this. First, I want to go ahead and apologize. This is the first time that I have done a pre-recorded webinar where I'm actually able to stop and go back and forth. So if my pitch goes up and down a little bit between slides, my apologies. I'm going to take advantage of it as much as I can. Let's get going. So the first thing I want to say is give some kudos and a shout out to the next speaker, Marco Santarelli with Norada Real Estate Investments. He has one of the best quotes I've heard in a long time, and he's trademarked it because obviously he knows it. Live where you want, invest where it makes sense. So in this day and age, we still in our industry have a lot of old-fashioned type investors who feel or have that mentality that they have to invest in their backyard, and that's just not the case anymore. There's really good quality turnkey servicers like Norada, like the PIP Group out there that has the resources and the networks to be able to invest where it makes sense. So again, that's something to keep in mind as we go through this presentation, but I really wanted to make a special mention of this wonderful trademarked statement that Marco Santarelli has come up with. All right, so a little bit about me. I began my career investing in distressed real estate at the age of 23. That's when I would call it official. I started a little earlier that dabbling and just kind of toying around with tax liens in the state of Georgia, which we'll also discuss here in a little bit. But that's essentially where I got my start. 26, with just a couple of faithful investors willing to give a young guy a shot, and $4,000 to get my LLC formed and have a little travel money. I started my first distressed real estate company, which has essentially evolved into the PIP Group. Way back when, it was actually called Platinum Investment Properties Group. Well, excuse me, Platinum Investment Properties. Then it was Platinum Investment Properties Group, and so then we just decided to shorten it down to the PIP Group. PIP Group provides a wide range of services to both individual and institutional investors, foreign and domestic. We have some hedge funds in Norway, Germany, England, all over the world. Some stuff going on in Singapore. We provide services to investors with portfolios ranging in size anywhere from $50,000 to as much as $150 million. Now, those $150 million accounts are essentially just we are a third-party auditor, if you will. We come in and essentially just go through the portfolios, make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So it's 20 years, close to 20 years in business. We have nearly 1,000 clients, and we are a well-known provider to investors worldwide. So on behalf of PIP Group clients, we provide passive profits, turnkey services, investing in everything from tax liens through bank foreclosures. I got my start in tax liens, and obviously a tax lien can evolve into a tax deed or a property, a distressed property that you then have to fix up and either cash flow it or flip it. So you essentially have to know all facets of investing in distressed real estate if you're going to invest in any of these. So essentially that just evolved our business into being in everything involving distressed real estate. We do not offer coaching programs. We do not offer bus tours. We do not offer platform sales. I'm not going to knock coaching programs. There's some good ones out there, and there's some really bad ones out there. This is not what we do. We do everything on behalf of our investors. So you essentially are a push-button investor. We provide you with a ton of transparency from our platform. You essentially can log in and see what's going on with your investments at any given hour. But we do not do any of the bus tours or the hard selling. If you want to invest, we'd love to have you. If not, we understand if you're looking for something else. We are not a pooled investment or investment fund. So we are not a real estate investment trust. We are not a hedge fund, and we do not pool investments on behalf of investors. Your investment is your investment. We are a turnkey service provider. So that essentially means we do all the work for you, but it's your investment. We are paid on the performance of that investment. So very clear. The profits are yours to keep. It's not going to be pooled where we say, yes, we're going to give you 16% annualized after you let us play with your money for 3 years. It doesn't work like that. Real estate. All right, so contrary to popular belief and all those late night infomercials you guys watch, or we all watch, we've all seen them. Real estate is not sexy. I say that all the time because you get these pictures of these multi-million dollar homes like I just showed you, and you think that's what you're investing into. No, it's not. It's going to be ugly. It's going to take work, and that's essentially our bread and butter. That's what we do. If you look over on the far right here, this picture of this guy that was collecting cigarette butts. Not sure why, but we see things like this all the time. These are properties that we walk into all the time. So distressed real estate is not sexy. Something I always say at any presentation I give is you're behind the eight ball if you don't buy right. So if you get caught up in the frenzy of an auction or however you have acquired the property you're going to fix and flip or cash flow, if you don't buy it right, you're already losing money essentially. So at the end of the presentation, we're going to look at this property and we're going to see if we bought it right. This one is my own, and we actually bought it using hard money from RCN, who you heard the presentation from Jeffrey Tesh earlier. And as we got into it and we started peeling back the layers of onion, I was even questioning if we bought right. As you can see, we had some termite damage all the way to the top floor. We had to literally lift the house off of its foundation or the pilings and set it back down. So we'll take a look at that at the end of this presentation as well. All right, so let's talk tax distressed real estate. And the reason we're going to talk about that is one, again, it is where I got my start. And surprisingly, only 25% of Americans know that their home could be forfeited for failure to pay the property tax bills. We have an investor right now with us. He's probably invested close to $5 million with us. And we had a meeting with him a few months ago. And he said, you know what? I didn't even know this existed. I didn't even know this was a thing 5 years ago until I started looking into it. So a very high level investor that didn't know that your home could be forfeited for taxes. We're going to cover this quickly so we can get to the meat and potatoes of this presentation, which is the fix and flips and that 16% promise that we offer. But I do want to cover it a little bit just so you guys have an idea of what I've gotten, how I got my start, and how it benefits you. So what are tax liens? It's a reliable and predictable source of revenue for local government. So uh, your property taxes pay for your local hospitals, your police department, your fire department, your schools, your teachers. That is all paid by the county level. So if your taxes aren't paid, they have a shortfall of the revenues they need to maintain. And that creates layoffs and you don't get the police coming over for your domestic dispute issue or whatever the case may be. But nonetheless, that's the purpose of them. So what they do to make sure they don't have a shortfall on their revenue is for those that don't pay their taxes, they sell those to investors at a public auction. Depending on the state, the auction could be once a month or it could be once a year, it could be once a quarter. It just depends. And each state is different, so the terms and the rates are different in each state. So the delinquent property owner has a set time determined by the state law to repay that debt, plus all the interest and penalties, or they forfeit the rights to the property. Now, again, it depends on the state. You might have to go through a judicial foreclosure process like a bank foreclosure works, or you might just be able to do a conveyance of title, and they just essentially sign it over to you. And they make it very attractive for investors with very high rates because they need that revenues again. They need the revenues, so they make it a very attractive investment for investors that are tax buying. This is a tax sale certificate from Illinois. It's our most popular state, and I'll show you why it's our most popular state in a minute here. But this essentially is what you get at any tax sale after you made a successful buy. It tells you the parcel number, the date we bought it, what we bought, and the address and so on. The penalty rate we bought it for, which was 18%. So this certificate or bond, if you will, is what you need should you afford the right to be able to foreclose on the property. So without this, you've essentially just forfeited your rights and more or less, thrown away your investment. Depending on the state, again, in the state of Illinois, you can file a loss certificate affidavit, but in other states, without this piece of paper, you're going to have a hard time foreclosing on the property should you wish to do so. So again, the process is very simple. First, you have taxes that become delinquent, they're advertised for sale, and then the public auction happens. You have redemption and maturation, so that's the period of time that the homeowner has to pay off the tax lien and satisfy the debt to you, your investment. If they do not do so, then you begin foreclosure and quiet title action. So it seems like a pretty simple process. There's obviously a lot that goes on behind the scenes.